we've had weeks of just raining. My basement's flooded out. I got pumps going, which as long as I've had the house. It happened the first year I bought it. Hasn't happened since, but pumps are going and a bunch of stuff got destroyed. But the pawpaw trees are loving it. They love it when the ground is moist. Now, the one thing that I'll say about pawpaw trees is that they like moist soil, but they don't want to be in water constantly. So keep that in mind. The ground here is mostly like gravel. So, no standing water really to speak of in this area. Right now, yes, but, usually it just drains instantly. So the pawpaw trees love that. But if you're in like a real heavy soil area and there's a lot of rain, or don't water them all the time. The pawpaw trees in New York State, like this one, I could water this daily. It's not going to make any difference because the water, it doesn't stay on top. It dissipates into the ground. All these pawpaw trees, all my pawpaw trees, I have fruit on this year. The other thing that I want to say about pawpaw trees is it's worth the wait. Some things, are worth the wait. This was the first one that I got fruit on. Now this one has, I don't know, over 70 on it, something like that. But there's like multiple trees. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Rappahannock, that has fruit on it this year. 8 or 9 trees that have fruit on them. And it was, the first pawpaw trees I put in, that was a long time ago. It was way over 10 years ago. That's closer to like when I first got this place. So it's not a fast-growing tree. You're not going to get fruit, put them in the ground and get fruit like a year later. Now, if you do buy a graft, you might be able to do it in 3 or 4 years. That's probably how old the Rappahannock is. It's probably 3 or 4 years. And then I have like a Wabash here that has fruit on it, a Potomac that has fruit on it, 3 or 4 years, something like that. If you're getting seedlings or something and you're going to put them in the ground, man, you could be waiting over 10 years. I'm just telling you how it is. It's not a fast-growing tree. The other thing that is important to know about pawpaws is the young pawpaws, you got to shade them for the first 3 years. They like direct sunlight when they're like this. That's great. But when they're small, it's an understory tree. You want to make sure that they have shade. Right now I have some baby pawpaws, and what I do is I put a milk crate on top of them like this, and that's enough to shade this tree. I also, like last year, not only did I have a milk crate on it, but I was still shading it even more by putting a rock over, on top of the milk crate. Early on, I'd build these like sort of elaborate shading, ways to shade the pawpaw. I still do that sometimes. Like there's like over here there's a garden and there's some pawpaws in it, and like I built rocks up around them. You have to keep them shaded. If you don't, you're just going to burn them out. They do not like direct sun when they're small. You should probably wait until they're about, I don't know, over a foot at least. 18 inches, you'd probably be safe to give it full sun. But definitely shade them. The other thing that's real important is that, it doesn't really matter what kind of tree it is. You want to keep the base clear. Like I'm using straw for mulch, but if it gets built up around the base of the tree and then it gets wet and there's no airflow here, you get a fungal problem. You get like, it'll rot. So you want to keep the base of your tree. It really doesn't matter what type of tree it is. That's, pretty much true of most trees. It wouldn't matter if it was a cherry tree or a peach tree. You don't want like wet material up around the base of the tree. So clear that out, and especially your pawpaws, because like I said, if you live in an area, they like moist soil. They like it moist. So if you live in an area where it drains real easy, you can water the plants like daily, the pawpaw trees daily, and they do great. You get a lot of growth on them. So this 2 weeks has been sort of hell for me because I haven't been able to do anything in the yard. It's flooding out in the basement, but I'm telling you, the pawpaw trees are absolutely loving it. I'm not going to worry about a lot of rain unless it was, say the fall and I had a lot of fruit on there, and maybe I'd get like fruit that started splitting because there was so much water. But The fruit is looking good. Here's the first tree that I had that bared fruit, and this year, man, there's I think I counted 65 on this. There's 65. Some of them aren't real big, but you know, this is a productive tree for sure. This is a Potomac, and you can see by the size of my hand that these are already getting pretty big. This is fairly good sized fruit. This is a Peterson's Pawpaw. It's a cultivar that Neil Peterson sells. He sells. All the Peterson Pawpaws are pretty dependable, like as far as, you know, they were picked for certain reasons. Now here's a Rappahannock, and this does fruit, and this is the first year fruiting, so I can't make a judgment on the fruit. As you see, the Rappahannock looks like no other pawpaw trees. It has like an upward sort of, I'll give you an example. See, that's a pawpaw tree over there. This is a pawpaw. See how they look? But then look at this one. See the difference? And notice how the leaves, there's like an up curl on the leaves like that. This one is sold as an ornamental tree many times, but it does fruit, and supposedly the fruit is good. And I see at least 5, 6, I don't know, there's 10 or 15 pawpaws on it. Here's another one that's sort of came from the same place. This came from Michigan, and it's a strain that was developed using the Davis pawpaw, Davis cultivar, and supposedly these handle the winters well, and I haven't had any trouble with them. And as you see, they are fruiting, and the fruit looks pretty good. It looks like a fairly good size, and this is, once again, this is a fairly productive tree. If you have never eaten a pawpaw, they're also called like the Michigan banana, but they taste a lot like a combination, like a cross between I don't know, man, tastes a little bit like Red Bull at times, but between a banana, a strawberry, a pineapple, and a mango, for lack of a better term. Sometimes they have a like vanilla taste to them. But I'm very happy that now I have fruit production. This is a Potomac. We have fruit on that one. I have fruit, not enough that I would sell at this point, but I'm sure that I will. I mean, I have so many trees that are bearing fruit now. I'm just telling you, if you're planting a pawpaw, just hold on, and people will tell you all kinds of BS, like, they want fruit, like you have to like hand pollinate them, and I have hand pollinated them, and this year I hand pollinated them on 2 different occasions. But man, you go out at night in the summer, and there's all kinds of bugs just all over them at night. So if you don't see a lot of flies, and that is the pollinator of the pawpaw tree is not bees. The flower smells like rotting flesh. So those kind of animals, it doesn't really smell to a human. You're not going to smell rotting flesh, but to bugs, that's what it smells like. So you go out at night with a flashlight and you shine it on your pawpaw trees, early on when you got flowers on there, swarming with all kinds of bugs. So I doubt that I'll hand pollinate at all next year. It doesn't seem like it's necessary. During the day, I would see, flies and stuff on them, but I'm like, when are these getting pollinated? I really don't see them like being inundated by bugs. That's what I saw at nighttime. I saw bugs all over them. So take your time. If you want to hand pollinate them, you can. You use a little brush, and just go on the internet and check it out to, so that you know what you're doing. And it's a productive tree. And the one thing that I will say about the tree that is great, it looks great, and you don't have to use any pesticides. If you live where they naturally grow, the eastern United States, you're not going to have to worry about pests, insects. Nothing really eats the leaves. I'm not saying a deer will probably take a whack at anything, but it has no, insect problems. whatsoever. So that's not an issue. It doesn't have any fungal problems whatsoever. Do you get a peach tree? You know, okay, so you have a property with a peach tree on it and you don't have to do anything to it. Well, I'm happy for you, but many of us know that peach trees, plum trees, and cherry trees, at least in this area, that you got to spray them, or else you're gonna have issues with them. They're gonna get fungal infections. It's a huge problem. The pawpaw tree, nothing. You have to use nothing on them. You can put them in the ground, keep the weeds away from the base when they're young, about an 18-inch circle or something, and just make sure that debris doesn't get built up on them, and you should have no problem. But it is not a fast-growing tree, so just slow it down and don't worry about it. Just make sure that it is not a drought-tolerant tree. So make sure that they don't dry out. Usually when I put them in the ground, I use polymers. I use like water crystals. Do you know what I'm talking about? There are these things that you can mix into the soil that hold water. A lot of people say don't amend the soil in any way. That's one way that I do it, because if the pawpaw tree doesn't get water, like I said, it is not drought tolerant. So unless you can keep an eye on them all the time, put some water crystals in there and just let them grow. No pruning, no nothing, man. There's no nothing with these.